Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. This is Sunita Gladys Kanaka from Punvidyashram. How are you, students? I am fine, thank you very much. Today we are going to learn two new grammar topics, that is subject-verb agreement and verbs 1, that is a few types of verbs. Subject-verb agreement simply means that the subject and verb must agree in number. This means both, that is subject and verb, should be singular or both need to be plural. In simple, a singular subject takes a singular verb, a plural subject takes a plural verb. For example, Mohini reads the newspaper every day. Here, Mohini is the singular subject and reads is the singular verb. Second sentence, the students are here to participate in the race. Here, students is the plural subject and are is the plural verb. A few more examples for your reference. That monkey eats bananas. Those monkeys eat bananas. My grandfather has a big house. My grandparents have a big house. Now look at this table. The three most commonly used auxiliary verbs with subject pronouns. Pause the video and read the table. Now do this exercise. Fill in the blanks with the correct verbs from the box. The words in the help box are thinks, is, works, live, are, goes, folks, buys. First sentence, Shaina dash listening to a song by Bob Dylan. Ishan dash out to play with his friends in the evening. They dash going to visit the National Museum of History. Sugandha's father dash in Chandigarh. Aman's cousins dash near his house. The road dash into 2 after 3 kilometers. Himanshu dash books from an old bookstore. And the eighth one, Tuhin dash that the practice session should be longer. Now, I am going to read the sentences with answers. Okay. Shaina is listening to a song by Bob Dylan. Ishan goes out to play with his friends in the evening. They are going to visit the National Museum of History. Sugandha's father works in Chandigarh. Aman's cousins live near his house. The road forks into 2 after 3 kilometers. Himanshu buys books from an old bookstore. And Tuhin thinks that the practice sessions should be longer. How did you do that? Now, a small exercise for you to do on your own. Can you see it on the screen? Now, pause the video and match the columns to complete these sentences. Have you completed? Once you complete, you can post the answers in your class group whenever your teacher asks you to do so. Now, compound subjects. What do you mean by compound subjects? Some sentences might have more than one subject joined by and. This is known as compound subjects. These compound subjects are considered as plural subjects, so they take plural verbs. For example, Mark lives in Florida. Mark and Jane live in Florida. Here, Mark and Jane are compound subject. A note: subject-verb agreement rules apply only to the present tense. In the past tense, subject-verb agreement is not a problem because there is only one past tense verb form. For example, the verb live has two singular verbs, live, lives, but the verb live has only one past tense, that is lived. Now look at the subject-verb agreement table. Subject-verb agreement for verb be. Be has its own subject-verb agreement rules. Let us talk about that now. Are you ready? The verb be has three present tense forms, and they are am, is, are. And it has two past tense forms, and they are was and were. Now back to compound subjects for more examples. Naina and Durga have been to the zoo twice. 6 students and 2 teachers are meeting the Prime Minister today. Now, the pronouns anybody, anyone, everybody, everyone, somebody, and someone take a singular verb. For example, everybody is expected to help the victims of the flood. Has anyone seen my phone? It's time to do another exercise. Are you ready, children? Put a tick against the sentences that have correct subject-verb agreement. Write the correct verb form against the sentences that have incorrect subject-verb agreement. Pause the video, read the questions given, and find out the answers on your own. Students, now a paragraph about stars can be done when you receive the textbook. Now I am moving on to the next topic, that is listening. Listen to a news broadcast and fill in the blanks with the correct words. You can see the passage on the screen, and I am going to read the news broadcast. Yesterday, 2 brave children of Gangapur were awarded Brave Hearts Award. They have exhibited a great spirit of selflessness and courage. Harsh, a 12-year-old boy, saved a little girl from drowning in the river that flows along his village. Garima has been awarded for her presence of mind. While going to school, she noticed that 2 large sacks were lying under a banyan tree. While returning home, she noticed that the sacks were still there. She informed her grandfather, Sham Sundar, about the sacks. Sham Sundar informed the local constable. On investigating, it was found that the sacks had explosive. Garima's presence of mind has helped to save the village. Did you complete the passage? Very good. Excellent. The next topic is verbs. All about verbs. To begin with, look at the pictures and pick out words from the box to describe the actions in each picture. Write the words below the pictures. You may use the words more than once. It's very interesting. You can do that on your own. Now, types of verbs in English. What is a verb? A verb is just a word that shows an action or a state, that is feeling or situation. An action verb expresses physical activities. For example, eat, jump, sleep, etc. But a state verb expresses feelings of situation. For example, like, be, have, think, etc. The next type of verbs are main verbs and auxiliary verbs. We can broadly classify verbs as main and auxiliary. Auxiliary verbs are also called helping verbs. The main verb of a sentence can express its meaning independently, and it tells us what the subject does, feels, or is. These verbs may not need the help of other verbs to express their meanings. For example, Surender opened the drawer and took out a file. The teacher thought deeply for some time. Kamala seems worried about something. Now, the auxiliary verb in a sentence helps the main verb to express its meaning or to show the tense. Words such as am, is, are, was, were, has, have, had, does, did, will, can, and should are auxiliary verbs. For example, you should wear something warm. What are we waiting for? The auxiliary verbs be, have, and do can also be used as main verbs in sentences. For example, there are many flowers in the garden. You have such a beautiful voice. Yashita did all this work alone. Here is another exercise for you to do on your own. Underline the main verbs and circle the auxiliary verbs in these sentences. 12 sentences are given. You can do the work and post it in the class group. The next type is strong and weak verbs. It is nothing but irregular verbs and regular verbs. Based on how different verbs form their past tense, they are grouped into two broad classes, strong and weak. Strong verbs are also called irregular verbs. These verbs form their past tense usually by simply changing the vowel in their present tense. For example, arise, arose, beget, begot, begin, began, stick, stuck, give, gave. Weak verbs are also called regular verbs. They need endings such as ed, d, or t to form their past tense. For example, call, called, send, sent, tell, told, build, built, cry, cried. The next type is finite and non-finite verbs. Some verbs are directly linked to the subject. They change their form according to the number of person of the subject. They also show the tense. They are called finite verbs. They are governed by the rules of subject-verb agreement. Chetan's brother works in a hospital. Singular subject with singular verb in present tense. Chetan's brothers work in a hospital. Plural subject with plural verb in present tense. Chetan's brother worked in a hospital, that is past tense. Verbs that do not change their form according to the tense, number, or person of the subject are called non-finite verbs. They are not governed by the rules of subject-verb agreement. For example, Shashi is repairing her skateboard. Singular subject. Shashi and Samir are repairing their skateboards. Plural subject. Shashi was repairing her skateboard. Past tense. In these sentences, the main verb does not change its form. It is the auxiliary verb, that is, are, was, that shows the tense of the action and the number of subject. Identify the underlined words as finite or non-finite verbs. First one, Romila went to Srinagar during the summer break. The child was tired after he had played for 2 hours. Jyoti and Jigyasa reached their school by 8 a.m. Naresh plans to make a new sketch every day. Tanya is winning the match. This bakery sells delicious cakes. Granny has herself watered the plants today. Time to disclose the answers. First, second, and third are finite verbs. Fourth and fifth are non-finite verbs. Sixth and seventh, again finite verbs. In addition, we have types of non-finite verbs. Non-finite verbs can be further divided into gerunds, infinitives, and participles. A gerund is a verb that ends in ing and functions as a noun. For example, Smita likes walking in the woods. Mr. Ghosh enjoys cooking. An infinitive is the basic form of a verb. Infinitives do not change their form according to the subject. We usually use an infinitive as to plus verb. For example, Mridula likes to sing. Mayank is going to buy some fruits. A participle can function as a verb or as an adjective. Verbs have present participles and past participles. Present participles end in ing. Past participles end in ed, d, en, t, or n. For example, be careful, the milk is boiling. Present participle functioning as verb. Don't add boiling milk to the batter. Present participle functioning as adjective. Who has closed the window again? Past participle functioning as verb. Keep the closed packets separately. Past participle functioning as adjective. Now do this exercise. Make sentences with these verbs. Use the hints given in the bracket. Here ends the topic verbs. Thank you for watching and listening. Bye from Sunita Gladys Kanaka.